Your sister is the person who stole your money, and the police were called.
She told me that I can use her card.
You're telling me that after she called the police, she still gave you permission to use her card?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not going to end up well here. Do you understand that?
This is Judy Justice. Jada Maxwell is suing her sister, Valastasia Maxwell, for unauthorized bank account charges and property damage.
Miss Maxwell, this is your sister.
Correct.
Older, younger?
Younger?
The two of you decided to take an apartment together.
Correct.
When was that?
August 27th of 2021.
Were you both on the lease?
No, ma'am, just me.
How long did you live together?
It was about 6 to 7 months.
When did your sister leave? What month?
She left at the end of June of 2022.
June of
2022.
Miss Maxwell, was it your arrangement that you would split the rent?
No. I would pay a portion of the rent, not split it even.
Well, tell me what a portion was.
The first month I stayed there, which was September only, I didn't pay anything. In October through November, 200, and then after that it was 400.
Well, how much was the rent?
$950, I believe.
And how many of you lived in the apartment?
Just us two.
Well, why weren't you paying half the rent?
I slept on a couch.
Oh, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor, except for the agreement. The agreement was that she would keep the apartment clean and pay half the rent and utilities.
Well, why would she pay half the rent if you get the bedroom?
It was her agreement. That was just...
No, I'm just saying, that doesn't sound reasonable to me. If she got the couch and you got the bedroom, why would she pay the utilities and half the rent?
Well, it wasn't... The rent itself was, like, she gave me what she could, but that was just our agreement. I bought the couch big enough so that she would be able to use it.
Nonsense. Okay, this is what the case is about. You claim that she stopped paying any money towards the apartment and you threw her out. And when she left, she damaged some property, and then she charged some money on either your credit card or a debit card.
My debit card.
Did you ever give her your debit card?
There was only one time when I handed her with permission to use the credit card at a gas station. That's not true.
Just you had a physical debit card?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and the one time that you let her use it, I want you to tell me when that was and what that was for.
It was within the time period of her living in the apartment. We were at a gas station and I was filling up. She went inside the gas station to purchase something because she didn't have money at the time, and that was it. That was the only time that I recall her ever giving her permission to use my card.
Okay. She moved out of the apartment in June of 2022, and I understand it was not an amicable process and the police were called.
Correct.
Who called the police?
I did.
Why?
My dad gave me advice and he said that I should call the non-emergency escort so that they can watch her, make sure that she actually leaves when she was asked.
And what day in June was this?
I do not recall the date.
You don't have a police report or a number?
Not for that. They didn't give me a police report for that.
Did they give you a police report for something else?
I have the police report for the fraud.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because it is your claim that you used the information from your debit card and withdrew a lot of money from your debit card.
Correct.
So you reported this to the police on August 25th.
24th.
It says reported
Okay.
8/25. How much money did she take out of the account?
At the time of that, it was only estimated about 10, but once the July statement came out, I was able to add up more, and it was nearly 14, 15 grand.
May I see it, please? How did you get her banking information?
I had to call her.
Shh! How did you get her banking information?
I don't have her bank information.
Well, you took money out of her account. You acknowledge you took money out of her account.
I only took money out when she gave me permission.
No. You acknowledge that you took money out of the account. I've read your answer. How did you get her account information?
She gave me her card on multiple occasions.
You mean after you moved out, she gave you her card?
No.
Shh.
Yes.
Do you understand? You're not going to end up well here. Do you understand that? Because if she called the police to watch you, to escort you out of the house, there is no question that she did not thereafter give you permission to use her credit card or her debit card. That doesn't make sense.
She
Do
did.
you understand the chronology of what I'm saying to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So if I were to believe you, the only time you used her credit card is when you were still there. And that was prior to June of 2022.
That's incorrect. My grandmother passed away in August 9th of 2021, and she was my legal guardian to the age of 18, so I was under her account as a beneficiary, so when she passed, I got the money.
claims her sister, Valastasia Maxwell, wrongfully took money from her bank account and damaged her property.
There is no question that she did not thereafter give you permission to use her credit card or her debit card. That doesn't make sense.
She
Do
did.
you understand? Do you understand the chronology of what I'm saying to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So if I were to believe you, the only time you used her credit card is when you were still there, and that was prior to June of 2022.
That's incorrect.
Just a second. So you're telling me that after she called the police to escort you out of the apartment, she still gave you permission to use her card?
Yes, Your Honor. I still went over to her apartment until July 15th.
For what?
I had my stuff there that
Just to gather your things.
and she let me use her car multiple occasions to get some of the furniture that she let me have, and she told me that I can use her card.
When was the last time you visited with your sister? July what?
July 15th.
And when was the last time you used her card?
July 16th.
What did you use her card for, July 16th?
Rent.
Between what periods of time did you use her card? Give me the dates.
Since September of 2021 until July 16th.
September of 21. And what was it for in September?
She would send me to the store, or if I was already at the store in her car, she would tell me to use her card or something like that. She would pay me to...
How much did you spend on her card just for you? Just for you, not for joint, not send it to the store, use my card.
I have it here.
Tell me how much you spent on you.
I'm not sure of the exact amount.
Did the police contact you with regard to the fraud?
No.
They never did?
No.
The police report, do you name your sister as the person who stole your money?
Yes, Your Honor. The bank told me,
No, don't tell me what the bank told you. Bank doesn't tell you anything. Would you show me here, maybe I'm missing it, where you report the person who took the money out of your account?
that is the only document when I went down to the station that they gave me. When I went to actually make the file, she just asked me a couple questions.
Don't tell me what somebody else asked you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you report to the police that it was your sister who fraudulently took your money?
I did, but the police eventually they cut it off because I was going to pursue small claims. They told me that they are no longer needed.
Oh, small claims. Why were you going to pursue small claims? How much money how much money does she have? Miss Maxwell, let's get it together. Let's get it all together. Okay? You were not going to pursue small claims because you knew that in small claims you would end up with zero. You knew that.
I didn't understand what everything meant, which is why I tried calling a bunch of people, and I spoke to,
No, I just want to know why, at this point, because the bank gave you back some money.
Correct.
How much money did the bank give you back?
I have it here. It was about $4,900, nearly $5,000.
Okay, and they gave you back almost $5,000. I'd like to see the communication with the bank. With the bank as to, if you are alleging fraud,
Right.
If you're alleging fraud and you say that you had all of this money taken out of your account,
Correct.
okay, then there's no reason why the bank, if you were alleging fraud and they found that there was fraud, why wouldn't they return all the money?
Because they have a policy that within the 3 months, they can only go up to the first 3 months, and because I didn't realize sooner, they can only go up to that 3 months. So they were only able to give me back within the transactions within those 3 months.
Is this a savings account or a checking account?
It was beneficiary.
What is that?
When somebody passed and you get money.
Explain that to me. I don't understand what beneficiary account is.
My grandmother passed away in August 9th of 2021. And she was my legal guardian to the age of 18, so I was under her account as a beneficiary. So when she passed, I got the money.
So you were living with your grandmother?
Correct.
Okay. And what was the benefit package?
What do you mean?
How much did you get as a beneficiary?
It was about $50,000.
On what date?
I'm not sure when it was processed, but it was opened. Payment started of October of 2021. Or transactions
I don't
started.
understand what a beneficiary account is. Who paid the money? Who paid this $50,000?
My grandmother, she would put money in there so that if something were to happen to her, the money would go to me or whoever she listed.
Your Honor, it's a type of savings account. In simple words, a beneficiary bank account is a type of savings account in which the funds are transferred to somebody else after the account owner passes away, directly to the beneficiary.
Okay, this had nothing to do with you receiving benefits through your grandmother.
No.
This is an account that your grandmother set up for you.
Correct.
Now, is that grandmother also her grandmother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have a relationship with your grandmother?
Yes, I did.
Did she only set up the one account?
I'm not sure, but I wasn't the only one that received money.
What about you?
Nothing.
Okay, so how much is left in that account now?
The account is closed out
By whom?
at the bank. After a certain, once it goes under a certain amount, they send you a check with the rest of the money.
How much did they send you a check for?
It was about $200.
Well, who spent the $50,000?
I made transactions throughout the time period as well.
Okay. What did you buy with $50,000?
I just basically used it.
What does that mean?
I wasn't responsible with it. I'll be honest about that.
Did you know that your sister had this $50,000 amount of money?
I didn't know she had that much, no.
Did you know she had any?
Yeah.
Did you know where it came from?
Yes.
You have here July total $3,148.14. What does that number represent?
All transactions that were confirmed to be her added up total.
You can't use her credit card after you're not speaking to your sister.
Jada Maxwell has accused her sister, Belastasia Maxwell, of taking money from her bank account and damaging her property.
Now, what did you buy with $50,000?
I just basically used it.
What does that mean?
I wasn't responsible with it. I'll be honest about that.
Did you know that your sister had this $50,000 amount of money?
I didn't know she had that much, no.
Did you know she had any?
Yeah.
Did you know where it came from?
Yes.
Are you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a cashier.
And what about you?
I currently work at Chipotle and I also Uber on the side.
When was the last time you saw your sister?
July 16th. Or, I'm sorry, July 20th?
Are there any charges here after July 16th of 2021?
Yes, Your Honor. I actually gave that up already. And the top, it says July. It's written on there.
Just a second. I'm going to give this back to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Find any charges that were made after July 16th. It was after July 16th was the last time you saw your sister?
No contact. We didn't have contact.
So the last time that you saw her was in July.
Correct.
You have here July total $3,148.14. What does that number represent?
That is that's the all transactions that were confirmed to be her added up total in just the month of July.
Were there any?
Yes. It goes in. If it goes.
Were there any charges?
There were quite a few.
In August, or was July the last amount of money that she took out?
In August, the card got cut off, so there were no.
Okay, so that the most that she incurred on the card in July was $3,000.
Correct, Your Honor.
And she left on July.
She was kicked out at the end of June.
The end of June.
Correct.
Yes, June of 2022.
Correct.
And that was with a police escort.
Correct. No.
Police watching you?
They left, and I was still in the apartment.
But they were there. They were called.
Right.
Okay. Now, what property do you allege that your sister damaged? Because that's the second part of your lawsuit.
It was a couch, and
What?
it was $1,100.
Well,
I have pictures of the aftermath of when she was kicked out and what the state of the apartment was left in, including the couch.
just show me the couch. If she damaged your couch, let me see it. I can't see what the damage is to this couch.
It shows better in other pictures.
No, I don't see damage. I just see a lot of dirt.
Under the cushions there was mold, and then there's a picture that shows 2 cigarette burns that her friend left.
Could you return this to the plaintiff, please? A lot of dirt. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
You can't use her credit card after you're not speaking to your sister. I don't believe
I didn't, Your Honor.
Yes, you did. $3,148.
I did not spend $3,000.
Kevin, these are July's statements. I think one of those things is yours. The bottom document. Okay, anything else? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,148. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
No,
was a lot more to show, but I'm glad I got something back. She took a lot from me.
I don't see how you can decide I made a transaction with my name written in pen.
And caused a lot of downfall after the fact.
She's just mad, I guess. I'm not sure.
I almost ended up homeless. I almost lost my job because of this.
I didn't cause any damage. No.
It was very hard. I didn't even want to press charges because she's my sister.
Nothing. They pulled up. They said that I had to leave, and I said no. I already paid my portion, and they said okay, and they left.
No, she was kicked out prior to that.
My friend did do that. I can say that, but like
she's just lying.
I didn't damage anything.
At this point, I don't believe her. I don't trust her. She took advantage of me.
Hopefully, we can just dead it, but I don't know.
So I'm just glad that I was able to get something back, so I can continue to get back up on my feet.
One day at a time.
I'm hoping for an apology, some remorse.
Who knows?
After I confronted her and she admitted to it, she ignored and cut everybody out. She didn't even say she was sorry. She didn't speak to me.
I don't know.
You know, it's a little bit easier now to commit fraud using someone's credit card, even if you only had access to the physical card for 5 seconds. It's long enough to take a picture of the back and input all the information into the DoorDashes, the Ubers, all the accounts. And if you don't check carefully, you may not notice for a couple months. So, I mean, I've been a victim of fraud in that way, and I know it can be very stressful trying to deal with the credit card company, and especially when it's your sister. I mean, my sister better think twice before using my credit card.
You know, generationally, I have a problem. It's actually my problem because I'm used to writing out a check. I have a checkbook. I write out the check. I deduct the check from my balance. I know what is...
How they taught you in 4th grade.
Absolutely. You want to make a deposit in a savings account. We were taught you brought $2, you put it in a bank account. In the bank book every Friday, your teacher stamped it, $2. That's how you save money. And the fact that you can walk into a store and take your phone and go like that and charge...
And who knows whose information is on there.
Frightening to me. It all sounds as if it's going to collapse around me. But everybody, I think everybody who's under 50 uses that, probably more than 50, because my children are actually 50. It's hard to come to terms with that. But they all use their...
Online banking.
Banking?
Yeah.
I still don't have my banking online.
I know.
I still do. Yeah. I still call them.
Yeah.
They say, it's her again on the phone.
You know you could do this online now, right?
Yeah. No. Anyway.
Well, keep doing it your way, and hopefully we don't get ruined by our way.
Yeah, fingers crossed. She seemed like a decent young woman, the plaintiff. You know, it's sad. Her grandmother saved probably all of her life so that her granddaughter had a little nest egg of $50,000, and she blew through it.
Unfortunate, but I appreciate the honesty.
And it was honest. Put money in trust. This case involves an automobile accident. Ms. Baker, you are seeking $10,000 from Mr. Escobar, who you claim caused the accident and you a lot of grief. The accident happened on what date?
It happened on May the 18th, 2021.
Was your car insured at the time?
Yes.
Yes. And your car was insured at the time?
Yes.
Great. I don't want you to get into the specifics of the accident just yet. What I'd like you to tell me was, prior to May 18th, who were you working for?
Brand Lighting.
What were you doing for them?
I drove a forklift. I load and unload trailers.
How long had you worked for them?
About a year and a half.
Prior to that, where did you work?
I think it was distribution.
From when to when?
I worked for them for about 4 years.
Prior to that, were you constantly employed or were you on disability?
Yes, no, I was constantly employed. I was constantly employed.
Okay, prior to working for the place where you had been working in May, were you ever on any sort of disability?
Yeah,
From when to when?
May the 19th, I applied for disability because I went to the doctor.
I'm not talking about it as a result of this accident, Miss Baker. I'm asking you, were you ever on disability before this accident?
No.
You were injured before this accident. You had a back injury before this accident. When did that take place?
That happened in 1999.
And what happened in 1999?
We had opened up the PIC module and the supervisors was there and we was walking them to show them the new opening of it. And the floors was made out of gates, but the gates wasn't pushed together, and so my foot slipped down between there and my back slammed into one of the steel beams.
And were you out on any sort of a disability after 1999?
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
Well, I was out on disability with that, and then I was out
talking
for 2
about
years. Yeah, I was out
in
for 2 years.
1999. How long were you out on disability?
I was out for 2 years.
And the nature of your disability was the back injury?
Yes, ma'am.
So you went back to work in 2001?
Yes, ma'am.
For whom?
Hospital.
What were you doing there?
I was a supervisor in the storeroom.
How long were you working there?
I worked for 3 years.
After 2001, was there ever a period of time that you went back on disability?
I'm trying to think, yes.
And from what year to what year?
I want to say it was like 2005, My thumb got amputated off of my hand at work.
And how long were you out on disability?
A year and a half.
After that?
I think that's it for the disability. I went to work after that.
This accident occurred on May 18th, 2021. After May 18th, 2021, did you go on disability?
Yes.
From when to when?
From May of 2021 to August of 2022.
And the nature of your disability on all 3 occasions was injury to your back?
No, one of them was when my thumb got amputated off of my right hand.
Did you have any surgery on your back ever?
No, ma'am.
And you received disability from May of 2021 to August of 2022 in what amount?
I think it was $1,160 every 2 weeks.
So about $2,200 a month.
Yes.
And what happened in August of 2022?
Benefits was exonerated.
Ceased.
Yes.
And you went back to work?
No, I have not been back to work.
How are you supporting yourself now?
I just applied for unemployment right now to try to help me with my bills and my rent because I'm behind in everything.
May 2021. What was the date of the accident?
May 18th, 2021.
According to your complaint, you were traveling in the right lane of a highway. The defendant was traveling in the middle lane.
Correct.
And he veered off into your lane in order to make a right turn, struck your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. He says not true. His response says that he was in the middle lane, he was going into the right lane, and you sped up and wouldn't let him in. Is that what your defense is? And your cars collide, or she hit you?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
That is not true.
And the damage to your car, which was the red car, was where?
He caught me when I swerved, so he caught me from the side and he slid up to the bumper. So he hit the bumper right there, and that part of
Do
it
you have
is...
photographs?
I do.
Of the
I have
car?
photos,
I'd like to take
Your
a
Honor.
look at photographs, please.
So may I explain to you what happened, Your Honor?
With what?
May I explain to you how the incident occurred?
When did you get these estimates?
Oh, I just went to go get those.
Passenger front panel.
When he hit me, the bumper was hanging, and so then I had to pull it off because it was dragging the ground. I couldn't drive my car like that, so I ended up pulling the whole thing off. And so that's how come you see that damage on the other side of the car, too.
You have pictures of your car, sir?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Anybody have a police report?
I have a over-the-counter report because once
No. I just asked if anybody has a police report of this accident. I'd like to take a look at it. Where did you get this from?
I went to the police department the next day and did an over-the-counter report because he asked me not to call the police.
Just a second.
Scene.
My question to you is, where did you get this from to make a picture of it?
Oh, I had took a picture of it with my phone and emailed it to my attorneys. And so when they sent me a collective packet, that's how they sent it back to me.
Did either one of you receive a citation or a ticket as a result of this accident?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Were the police called?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Mr. Escobar, when he got out the car, he asked me if I was okay, and he asked me to not to call the police because he's a truck driver and he did not want that point on his driver's license. He also asked for me to pull over to the side of the road over on 4th Street so that we wouldn't be blocking the intersection and the traffic.
Well, that's a good idea.
I took a picture of his insurance information.
You remember that conversation, Mr. Escobar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And so you said you would pay for the damage to her car.
I offered. I was trying to.
Just a second. You said
Yes.
Well, that's a yes. That sounds reasonable. You said, I'll pay for the damage. Don't call the police. I don't want this to be on my license. I'll pay for the damage.
Correct.
Right?
It's more to it, but hopefully I could have a chance to tell you what my side of the story is. But yes, that's what
I passed your side of the story.
Okay.
Now I have an accident. You say one thing, she says another. We're moving on to the next issue. The next issue is she says and you acknowledge that you told her, please don't call the police. I'll pay for the damage.
Correct.
I don't want to go through my insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so you agreed to pay for her damage.
Yes.
Do you have an estimate for your damage?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it.
So I actually have two different estimates.
Did you ever have the car fixed?
No.
Okay. Thank you. What kind of car is this and what year?
It's a 2012 Kia Optima.
And you own that outright?
Yes.
When did you get these estimates?
Oh, I just went to go get those estimates yesterday. I talked to them on the phone before then.
No, I don't care whether you talk to him on the phone. These estimates say you just got them within the last couple of days.
Yeah, no,
this accident happened a year ago.
Yes. So I called some people to get some estimates, and they gave me some estimates over the phone. And so I called Mr. Escobar, and I told him what the estimates were.
No, listen to me carefully. What you just gave me were estimates that you got 2 days ago, which is a year and a half after this accident.
Right. Well,
okay, I want to know where the estimate is for $1,700. That's the estimate that you called him with the next day after the accident.
No, yeah.
The next day after the accident, you called him and said it cost me $1,700 to fix it. These say $4,600. Just show me the estimate for $1,700.
These are from his. That's from his insurance company. Actually, when I called him to give him the estimates of the people that I talked to on the phone, he didn't respond to me.
Listen to me carefully, madam. I'm reading from your complaint. I took my car in for an estimate.
Yes.
The next day, and I texted him the amount. He said that he did not have $1,700, and he asked if I could wait for a month. I needed to get my car fixed before then, and he suggested that we go through insurance after all. You took your car in, according to you.
Yes.
You got an estimate for $1,700.
Okay, I did get it in right.
Okay.
Okay,
you got an estimate for $1,700. He said, I can't get you the money right away, so you went through insurance.
Correct.
Okay, so all of a sudden it doesn't grow into $4,600.
Well, may I?
Yeah.
Okay, so the man gave me the estimate for the $1,700, but what he did inform me was that once
No, you can't tell me what he informed you, madam.
Well, basically,
you can't, not basically.
Can I tell you what these people? Can I tell you what these people said?
You can't tell me what those people said either.
Well, I was trying to explain to you why it went to $4,300, but
it's not going to $4,300. The initial cost to fix your car was $1,700. You, as a matter of fact, accepted a check from his insurance company for $1,300.
I asked my attorney
Just
if I
a
was
second.
supposed to. I'm sorry.
You accepted a check for his insurance company for $1,300, and according to you, they canceled the check. Okay? And I'll see the letter why they canceled the check. Okay. And when you accepted the check, you signed a general release, because the insurance company doesn't send a check unless you sign a general release for anything and everything surrounding the accident that took place on May 18th. That's what you sign. When you accept a check from an insurance company with regard to an accident, that's what you sign.
I had no clue as to what it was. You know, Your Honor, I referred to my attorneys and asked them what I should do, and that's what they advised me to do.
That's hearsay. Do you understand? That's hearsay. You can't tell me that. There is no attorney that would say, sign a release, and then we'll go on from there.
I asked them if I'm supposed to accept the check.
You no longer have that attorney, correct? No. The attorney said goodbye. Now, after this accident, which happened on May 18th, when was the first time you saw a doctor?
The very next day.
Let me see.
Here's all my doctor's notes.
No, let me just see from the next day. I hear your excuse.
Okay, at this point, at the time of the accident, which was date of loss, May 14, 2021.
May 18th or May 14th?
14.
May 14th?
14.
May I see it?
That's not true.
It says date of loss.
Shh. Okay, so this insurance company found that there is a comparative negligence statute in California, which means to the layperson that they will look at an accident and they'll say, well, it's not 100% his fault or not 100% your fault, but they looked at the accident and they said, our insured, that would be you, is 75% responsible for this accident. And they found, which is not dispositive for me, that you were 25% responsible for the accident. You agreed to pay to have the car fixed.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Can I explain the why?
Go ahead, you can explain all you like, but you agreed to have the car fixed.
I was trying to be reasonable due to the fact that I was a truck driver. Mm-hmm. I'm off for 3 weeks, come home a day or half a day, and then I'm off for another 3 weeks. I was trying not to go to court. I was trying not to make things worse.
And you agreed to pay to have the car fixed.
I agreed to pay.
I don't care what it was. Nobody put a gun to your head.
No.
You know, nobody put you under a cattle. What was it? That thing?
I have no.
Yellowstone. Where
I know what you're
what
talking about.
Called?
I don't know what it's a cattle guard.
Cattle guard. Nobody hid you in a cattle guard. You said, don't call your insurance, I will pay for the damage. So you got to pay for the damage. And evidently it hasn't bothered you enough because you haven't had the car fixed. Do you still own the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, you have fixed for $1,700. Now, you have no medical people here, do you? No, there are no witnesses over there. You've had a long-standing back problem. Went to a chiropractor, you went to a lawyer, on and off disability because of your back problem, and you did not present to me anything with a medical write-up that suggests at all that this accident caused you to lose anything. And if you have it, I'll be more than happy to look at it.
Okay. My attorney's highlighted that part right there.
I just looked at this.
I'm sorry, I must have gave you the wrong thing. Okay.
Well, do you have the right thing?
I thought it was talking about the acute back pain.
No, I don't. Not that I don't care about your acute back pain, but since you don't have an expert here to testify that back pain that was as a result of this accident, and the pro forma thing that you gave me a check off, patient has chronic back pain, doesn't do it for me. So unless I have a write-up from a hospital, from a medical facility, that this accident that happened, he says on the 14th, you say it happened on the 18th.
It happened on the 14th, ma'am.
It happened on the 18th.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I've had this. Oh, here it is.
Okay. Doesn't do it.
Okay.
Doesn't do it. He's got to pay to have your car fixed. $1,700. We're finished your judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm satisfied. I'm just glad that the whole thing is over with.
I'm just glad that this is finally over.
It's been a year and a half almost, and my car is still damaged.
Pretty much, yes. I was in the middle lane trying to make a right.
The guy fabricated a lot of the stuff, but I just really want to be done with this.
She got road rage and speed her car up and hit me.
He just apologized a whole lot. He was feeling really good when he was driving. He was revving his engine a little bit because he has a Charger. Music was blaring loud. He wasn't paying attention.
I don't know how I could cut someone off and the person I'm cutting off would ends up in front of me.
I was going about my merry way, and I seen him coming towards me through from my peripheral vision.
How is that possible?
And I feel sorry now that I didn't even call the police and have them to come out there to the scene. I know it's a COVID time. People was having a hard time with, making their money and the jobs and stuff. When the guy asked me not to call the police, I wasn't giving him a hard time. But then look what he done.
Accidents happen.
Be careful out there.
I think this is a good lesson for people like the defendant who, for whatever reason, he was a truck driver and didn't want maybe the points on his license or even the hint of a car accident to be on his record if that's his business. However, I think it could have saved him from, number one, making a gratuitous promise to pay for the damages to her vehicle, which he might not have had to had a police officer come out and made a report, and maybe they would have found him less at fault than his own insurance company. And then he wouldn't have been so quick to offer to pay for the damages. Or conversely, the plaintiff may not have mentioned anything about any back pain, and if today was the first time she was going to bring it up, I'm sure you wouldn't have offered her anything.
Well, she didn't bring it up. She's had chronic back pain now for 22 years.
Of course.
Her allegation is that this accident exacerbated that back pain that she's had for 20 years. Then you have to come in with a medical team to talk about what the nature of her injury was before, how it was changed as a result of this accident. Without that, a pro forma note that says so-and-so has chronic back pain and she can't work is not a reason to award you $10,000 for personal injury.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
I just think it's a good lesson that the police get called to the scene of an
For a
accident
reason.
for a reason. And although you may be concerned with other consequences of calling them, sometimes it's just the right thing to do.
Smart thing to do, because clearly there was no issue of alcohol or drugs or driving while
Just an
impaired.
accident.
It was an accident. And there was really no issue of neither one of them having insurance. They both had insurance. So it was really just, I don't want to have to deal with this. I'll deal with it. I'll pay.
And hopefully this $1,700 lesson tells him that in the future, maybe calling would be the better course of action.
It's always
Former tenants Ann V. Kelly and Kevin Jackson for unpaid rent and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2116, versus Kelly Jackson.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. you purchased a duplex home, 2 different apartments.
That's correct.
In what month and year did you purchase the home?
November of 2020.
And when you purchased it, one of the duplexes was occupied by the defendants.
That's correct.
It is your claim that they owe you for rent
Yes.
and for property damage.
That's correct.
They are no longer there.
No.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
How long were you and your wife living in the duplex before November of 2020?
We moved in June of 2019.
And at the time, do you recall who your landlord was in June of 2019?
Yes.
Between June of 2019, when you first moved in, and November of 2020, when the plaintiff bought the property, Was there any work done on that property?
Not at all.
No maintenance?
No maintenance.
Okay. So from the time you moved in, the prior owner did no maintenance on that property? Did no painting?
Just the minor stuff before we moved in. They just painted and just had everything looking nice, the floors.
So just a second. So the prior owner painted the premises and did the floors?
Yes, it was carpet and some flooring in the kitchen.
And Mr. Uno did not do any other painting or flooring or any cosmetic work on the duplex when he purchased it in November of 2020?
No.
So whatever was there by the previous owner of the property is still there?
Yes.
I'm just asking you this because your counterclaim is for child endangerment, and the child endangerment is because of lead paint. That's what you write here.
Yes.
He didn't put in the lead paint, right?
Yes, thinking about that.
He didn't paint it. You don't know when it was painted. Maybe it was painted by the prior owner. How do you know? By the way, do you have medical records of the child that you claim has lead poisoning?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Yes, you. I have no idea what this says.
That's the piece of paper that he gave me from the hospital.
Well, I don't understand it.
Blood work.
I'm not a doctor, so I can't.
We have something from the health department also stating that because my son his lead was found in his system, they got involved.
I understand that. He did not paint the apartment.
No, ma'am.
When you, just for my own curiosity, when you bought this place, do you remember the purchase of it? And when you purchase a property, usually there's an inspection.
Yes.
And one of the questions usually has to do with lead paint. Do you remember any of that from when you purchased the property?
I didn't receive any notification of lead paint from the inspectors.
Well, usually they sign off that there is no lead paint.
I don't remember seeing because they never mentioned anything about it.
Nothing about lead paint. No. Okay. Did you ever have the home tested, by the way, for lead?
Only when we found out about my son having lead.
Okay. And do you have the test result?
And there was lead found in 2 places, not just the bathtub.
Miss Kelly, the issue is he didn't do any of that painting.
Right.
He bought the place. You had been living there for a year and a half before he bought the place.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And your son was born within that year and a half.
Well, we moved there, he was 6 months.
He was 6 months old, so he lived there for a year and a half even before he purchased it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did buy the things to fix the bathroom up. He told us to take them back to fix the tub and everything because we asked him to fix it. So the things we had, like to get the tub fixed, the flooring and everything, he told us to take back.
How many people were living in the duplex?
In our apartment?
In your apartment?
4.
4. Mm-hmm. Including the baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Including the baby. And how old is the other child?
She's 14.
Okay. Do you have that report?
No. This is just stating where it was at.
The health department?
Yes, I thought that piece of paper that I gave you was that one.
No.
This is just
doesn't say.
This is just showing where the lead was found in the house.
How old is this duplex?
It was built in 1906, so almost 115 years or so.
Yeah. And they certainly used lead paint then.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it.
I'm not sure.
I don't understand about it.
Miss Kelly, Mr. Jackson, that's not his fault. Not his fault. So now I would like to know, Mr. Uno is suing you for rent. And I'd like to know first, how much rent were you paying?
$750.
That's what you were paying under the old lease?
Yes.
And were you current on your rent when Mr. Uno took over the property?
Yes.
In November of 2020?
Yes.
So far correct?
That's accurate.
When did you stop paying rent?
December of 2021.
So you paid rent for a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working, Mr. Jackson?
Yes, when I first moved in, yes, I was working 2 jobs.
And were you working from November of 2020 to December of 2021?
Yes, I was.
For whom?
Yes, I was. I was working for TGI Fridays.
And Miss Kelly, were you working?
No, ma'am, I'm disabled.
And how much were you receiving in pay?
I was only getting...
If you have to think about it, you don't remember.
Yeah, I wasn't getting too much because it was during COVID, and I was working at a restaurant, and I was only allowed to work 3 days out of the week.
Okay. And what happened in December of 2021?
What happened was he already sent us a letter previously saying that he wanted to go up on the rent to a...
Okay.
Yes,
so you had no lease anymore, and he wanted to raise the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe you. And that was the reason that you used to try to evict them before.
Or so that would have been, I think, September 31st or October 31st.
That he was raising the rent to what?
To $1,000 a month.
Effective December.
Yes, December 1st.
And what happened in December?
We were, at that time, looking for a new apartment, and at the time it was hard because around that time, a lot of the rent was going up from just being like $800, $900 to like $1,200 to $1,400 for rent for a month there.
Don't speak.
Okay.
And that was, why we stopped paying rent, because we were actually looking for a house, even when he gave us the 90 days.
Okay, so Mr. Jackson, based upon what you just told me, sir, stop shaking your head, based upon what you told me, your landlord gave you 90 days notice that if you wished to stay on, he was raising your rent to $1,000 a month.
Yes.
And you started to look around for a new place.
Yes.
And the new places were very expensive.
Yes.
And you didn't find a place.
No.
So you decided to stay in this place.
No,
So what did you do?
we...
So if you didn't find a place
we decided
in December...
We was trying to stay there until we found a place.
I assume they paid rent in September.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
In October?
Yes.
They paid rent in October?
Yes.
Good. And November?
November was the last month that they paid.
So they paid in November?
Yes.
So you stopped paying rent in December of 2021?
Yes.
No, you cannot.
Okay.
If I need you,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
come to you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Okay.
Because so far he's doing fine. You stopped paying rent in December of 2021. Tell me why.
We didn't want to live there ourselves anymore either, but it was just a lot of things going on at the house. Like after my father passed away, and he first gave us the first eviction notice, because he gave us more than one.
Just a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're skipping over. He didn't give you an eviction notice, I assume, until you stopped paying rent.
No, before December, he gave us like 3 of them, I think. I want to say 3.
Really?
Yes.
Why were you trying to evict them before?
They had torn up the carpet upstairs. There was a moratorium for evictions, but there was a stipulation that emergency evictions for nuisance tenants could be granted before then.
Is there any reason why you took up the carpets?
Yes, the same thing. Before he took over, everything was in the house before that, and we complained to the previous owner that the carpet was already dirty. They said that they were going to come and shampoo it, but never did. Like, we would walk and our socks would be black, our feet would be black, so we wanted to take the carpet up. It was dirty to us. And I myself actually told him about it. I went downstairs to his apartment, because he lived downstairs from us, talked to him about it. He came upstairs, and I showed him a section of the carpet that wasn't even connected to the floor. You can lift up the whole carpet, and like all across a whole section of the wall. And then when I did that, he seen that the hardwood looked kind of decent, and instead of putting new carpet on, he wanted the hardwood to get sanded down and just get stained and and lacquered over.
So you took the carpet off?
Yes.
I believe you. Sounds right, Mr. Okay. And that was the reason that you used to try to evict them before?
Yes, that was the first one. But I don't agree with his statement.
Well, what statement don't you agree with?
Well, a number of things that he said. I didn't authorize him. We spoke. I asked them in the first meeting if there was anything that they wanted to have spruced up or anything as a good gesture, and they took it upon themselves to take up the carpet without my permission.
Okay, not a huge deal. Not a huge deal. You can use it as a huge deal if you want your tenants out, because you can re-rent that duplex for substantially more money.
It was more about their conduct, that they were being very disturbing behavior and just being off the wall. So I wanted them out for a lot of reasons.
Well, I know, but only one of them qualified under the eviction moratorium.
Yes, for emergency of dismantling.
Only one, and that would have been the carpet. Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
I'm back to you, sir. I haven't figured out yet. You stopped paying rent in December, and you moved out in what month?
We didn't move out until June.
June. So January, February, March, April, and May. Let's say 5 months' rent that you didn't pay, correct?
Yes.
Why?
Can I speak, Your Honor?
No. Kim, tell me why you didn't pay the 5 months' rent, Mr. Jackson.
We just figured that, we didn't figure. We didn't want to pay him $1,000 because to us.
Okay, so let's say you didn't want to pay him $1,000, even though you just told me finding another place would be more expensive, right? We said $1,200, $1,400, but you didn't give him $750. You gave him $0 for those 5 months. So I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Jackson. Does your wife receive disability payments because of her disability?
Yes.
Yes. How much a month?
That I don't know.
How much a month do you receive, Ms. Kelly?
$1,000.
$1,000. And did you continue to receive that $1,000 every month from December until June?
Yes, ma'am.
You see, certain things remain constant. Your disability payments remain constant.
Right.
If you live in an apartment and you have the same sort of income, then you pay rent.
Right.
And if you didn't pay $1,000, so I hear you. Well, that's what he said he wanted. And he's the landlord. He's allowed to do that if you're going to stay in his premises. But you paid nothing, Mr. Jackson, and that's what I don't understand.
Well, the premise was busted.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Miss Kelly,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
what You paid nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Where did you move in June?
Moved in the same area, like kind of like probably 10 minutes away from that particular street.
Is it a private house or an apartment?
It's a house, but it's a duplex as well.
Duplex. So the same sort of setup. And how much rent are you paying?
Pay $9.50.
So almost as much as he wanted in his rent. But are you more comfortable?
$37.50.
$37.50. Now, Mr. The only question that I have to ask you is, Mr. Jackson and Miss Kelly say that they filled out some sort of forms for rent relief during COVID, and you signed it, and they say you received money from the state for any unpaid rent. Did you receive any money from the state for rent that they didn't pay?
No, I approached them with an application, but the program that funds the landlord relief for the moratorium was only open for 1 month, and I came and went, and I missed it, and I never got it. So I did have them fill out something. It was just a hardship thing, but they didn't give me the money for it. I never received anything.
So you didn't receive any money. So far, Miss Kelly and Mr. Jackson, you owe Mr. $3,750 for rent that you didn't pay while you occupied his premises. You, your furniture, your children, I don't care what it is. That's what you didn't pay. And you can't save up your money and not pay your landlord. That's his business. Just like you work for Fridays and you get your pay when you're supposed to, that's his business. He bought a house. He was counting on the income from that house to pay some of his expenses, and you didn't pay it. Well, there's no question you have to pay it. Now you have a counterclaim. I've already gotten rid of child endangerment. This is 150 years old. Constructive eviction. So I'd like you to tell me your allegations of constructive eviction.
Is that like from him not doing anything to the apartment while we lived there?
I assume. You say you were constructively evicted.
Yes,
But you didn't leave.
Yes, he has a couple of text messages in here where he says that he actually came up to the apartment to check things. He brought up when he first got there in November, we didn't have a working toilet until.
Just a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So before he bought it, is that what you're telling me?
I mean, not before. I'm sorry. When he got the apartment in November, the previous owners, we were trying to contact to see who we pay for rent.
Just a second. He bought the duplex in November of 2020.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me, Mr. Jackson, that certain things weren't working prior to his purchasing the property?
No, I'm sorry. I want to take that back. After he purchased it, we didn't even know he purchased it because he was living downstairs, and my wife walked down there and asked was he the landlord, and he just said that he was the building manager. So nobody even got rent for the month of November when we lived there, not him or even the previous people, because he didn't even come upstairs to introduce us.
Well, I wouldn't complain about that, sir, if you're ahead of the game so far. If you didn't pay rent for November. You didn't pay the prior landlord, and you didn't pay him. So far you're ahead $750. Okay, keep going.
To go back to the November, so during November, our toilet got stopped up, like right before Thanksgiving.
So shortly after he purchased it, he hadn't been up in the apartment, right?
No.
Just you, your wife, your teenage daughter, and the baby.
Yeah, and the kids.
Okay, and the toilet got stopped up, and
he brought in a plumber, and then the guy found out that my son put a little toy in there, and he actually got
so
the out.
Toilet was broken by your son. Okay, so now the plumber said, here's the toy. He threw a toy down the toilet. Not an unusual and
then the very next month in December, my son didn't put anything down there. The toilet started acting up again. It wouldn't flush for like all the way up until the next year, and it never got fixed. But it was from...
Well, you had to have... Sir, you lived there with 3 adults. So there had to be a functioning toilet in the house.
It wasn't functioning.
So where did you go to use a functioning restroom?
Her mom lived up the street from us, so sometimes we lived up the street, or sometimes we would just still use the toilet.
Okay. You owe him $3,750 for rent that you didn't pay. Counterclaims dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I had to collect monetary judgment to the courts.
Him being the landlord, he left us like living in crappy conditions.
It was a unbearable situation that I was going through with the noise and the disturbances.
Yeah, he never came up there at all to fix anything.
And the destruction of the property.
He just started making up so many rules, to make it uncomfortable for us to live there.
Oh, it was, it's pretty quiet now.
That man is crazy. I'm glad it's over with.
You know what I think is interesting, Sarah, with these cases, we've had a lot of them. The forgiveness that the government wanted to show to people who were having trouble during COVID, work-related trouble, didn't have the same income, and didn't want to have a whole bunch of dispossessed homeless people. It came from a good place, as did some of the monies that were sent out by the government to sort of help people over a difficult time during the height of COVID. But then there are other people who suffer as a result of that, like a landlord who buys a property, a duplex property. Part of it is for income so that they can pay off mortgage, taxes, lawn service, whatever you have to pay on a house. And then the defendants, who really had no changed circumstances that they indicated to me. He was working, she was getting whatever she gets from disability, which is not insubstantial. I don't know if they get any other assistance for any of their other children, but certainly they moved into a place that's more expensive now, that's not far away. They just decided not to pay rent. And I don't think that that is the spirit of what either the federal government or the states who enacted it meant to happen, because the plaintiff, owner of this property, has rights too. You've taken away a right of his.
I agree to an extent, but I also think that that's more a problem on the government's implementation of the moratorium in the first place. That's what ended up hurting the landlord. These people were simply taking advantage of a legal loophole that was created for them. He was in the restaurant business, which, as we know, was one of the toughest hit by COVID.
Right.
She was on a fixed income that wouldn't be enough to cover, well, barely enough to cover the rent on its own. And then they have to support themselves, feed themselves. They have 2 children. So I'm sympathetic towards the taking advantage of a legal.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're on your way home, and
I seen it like a dog. I swerved.
you go into a house.
She went through 2 walls.
What were you drinking?
2 beers. The dog that I swerved to hit, she's seen the dog as well.
This is Judy Justice. Whitney Shepard is suing motorist Rachel Velasquez for property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2098, Shepard versus Velasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Velasquez, I'm going to start with you because the case is unusual and the case really starts with you. You were driving your car.
Correct.
And had an accident on the 13th of February of this year.
Right.
Tell me about it.
I was going west on...
You were driving.
I was driving.
First, at what time did this take place on
It happened at about 1 a.m.
Where were you coming from?
from my sister's home.
Anybody else in the car with you?
No.
What day of the week was February 13th?
That was on a Saturday.
So you were at some sort of a gathering at your sister's house.
I was at my sister's house, yes.
How many people were at the gathering?
There was just about maybe 10 of us.
And what time had you arrived at your sister's house?
Saturday in mid-morning,
Did you have dinner there?
yes.
Any alcohol served all day?
Yes.
What kind?
Just a beer.
I wasn't there.
A beer?
My
Beer?
invitation got lost in the mail. What were you drinking?
I drank 2 beers, but that, again, mind you, it was at the afternoon.
Just a second.
Yes.
So you had 2 beers.
Yes.
Now you get into the car, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're on your way home. And see what happened.
Okay.
Traveling from your sister's house, maybe I'll make this easier for you. How far a distance is it from your sister's house to your house?
About 20 minutes.
And how far into the trip did this accident occur?
Like 15 minutes.
And tell me about the accident.
Okay, so I seen it like a dog or something in the street. So as soon as I seen it,
Just a second. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you see something in the street. That's what you said.
okay, well, it was something, but it turned out to be a dog.
So what did you do?
I swerved to not hit the dog,
Swerved to not hit the something.
but it was a dog.
Well, we're going to get to how you know that. So you swerved to avoid hitting the something, and you went into a house, went over a fire hydrant.
The fire hydrant, actually, when I hit the fire hydrant has pushed me into the house.
Fire hydrant, water, and you went into the house. The force of the fire hydrant didn't send you into the house, madam. Unless you're telling me that the fire hydrant went and the water was such force that it pushed your car into the house, which I won't believe. Do you understand? So you swerved to avoid something in the road and were clearly going at such a speed that you went right into a house. Did you go through the wall of the house? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
And that's what this case is about. Because Miss Shepard is a renter in that house. And she says that everything of value that she had was destroyed because of the water and inundation. And your automobile insurance company paid the owner of the house for the damage to the house, but did not compensate Miss Shepard for any of her property that was destroyed. That's what the case is about. So now this dog becomes sort of interesting. You have a dog?
I do.
Now, you say that you swerved to avoid something that you subsequently said was a dog. Now you're in the house because that's where the car is. I assume that they had to get you out of the car. Or did you get out of the car on your own?
Yeah, my car was not in the house, but I was out of the car. I got out by myself.
Do you have photographs of the house?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. Oh, that's pretty much in the house.
Yeah, she went through 2 walls.
Yeah. Do you know how much money your insurance company paid out to the homeowner?
$5,000.
$5,000. Is this your car?
Yes.
And this is where it landed?
Yes.
Okay, now, you got out of the car. And what did you do?
I got out of the car. My sister, she was there too.
What do you mean your sister was there too?
She was following right behind me. Because she's the one who she had seen the dog that I swerved to hit. She's seen the dog as well.
I'm talking to you. You got out of the car and?
I went to go walk to get my sister.
And?
And we waited for the ambulance to get there.
For whom?
For me.
What was wrong with you?
I had 3 broken ribs.
Where did you wait for the ambulance?
Right in front of the house.
Now tell me about the dog.
The dog, the car came to a stop, I seen the dog run back into the yard.
Yeah. So you're crashing into the front of the house. Your eyes are in front of you. You're crashing into a house. You take down the whole wall when you crashed into the house. And what you're telling me is you crashed into the house, and out of what kind of vision? You went through a wall. How did your eyes get to the backyard? You swerve. You go into either you swerve because there's something in the road, or you swerve because you weren't paying attention, or you swerve because the beers that you had were too late in the day, whatever the reason that you swerved. But now you're facing the inside of a house. I want to know at what point you saw a dog run to the backyard.
Well, the car wasn't, I didn't hit head on. It was on the side. It was on the left side, the right side. It was on the right side. So when I hit it, everything went to the right side. I didn't hit it straight on head forward.
This is your car.
I did not hit it straight
This is
head
your
on.
car. So you're telling me your car was damaged before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, I'd like you to tell me, Miss Shepard, I'm sure you have a list of things that were destroyed. You did not have renter's insurance.
I did not.
And what happened when you submitted a claim to Miss Velasquez's insurance company?
Absolutely nothing. They never even got back to me on it.
Okay, I'd like to see proof that your insurance company paid the owner of the house.
I don't have that on me.
You have your insurance card here?
Yes.
Good, I'd like to see it. Did you make a claim?
I did. I did the day on February 14th.
Who owns this car?
I do.
What kind of car were you driving?
It's a 2017 Honda Accord.
Did they pay to have your car fixed?
No.
Did they cover it at all? You had a $500 deductible for collision. Did they pay for your car?
No.
You have medical records?
No, I didn't bring them.
Did the police respond to the location?
Yes.
Were you given a blood alcohol test or a breathalyzer test at the scene?
No.
Do you have a police report?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, arrived at the scene at 2:30 in the morning. This was determined to be a solo vehicle crash with minor injuries involving an impaired driver. That impaired driver would be you, because she wasn't driving her house. Now, Ms. Velasquez, not good form when the police reports. Do you see the police report? Have you seen the police report?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the police report found that you were impaired at the time of the accident. It also indicates that the police officer immediately after the accident questioned you on a gurney in the hospital. And that was immediately after this happened. I'm going to read what it says. Party 1, Velasquez, is riding her Honda at 55 miles per hour while under the influence. It says at the time of your statement, Party 1, that's you, states she attempted to turn left because she was heading to her mother's house, but did not recall how she crashed. Certainly don't see anything about a dog here, only an impaired driver. Okay, and then later you told this police officer that you admitted drinking 3 beers early at her home. Police officer said he asked you whether you felt the effects of alcohol drinks, to which you replied yes. The officer conducted a limited number of field sobriety tests at the hospital, which Party 1 failed to perform. Party 1's objective signs and symptoms of intoxication, and you were placed under arrest.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I placed Party 1, that's you, under arrest for DUI. This police officer determined that you were drunk, and this police report has absolutely nothing about a dog causing the accident. As you saying, I don't know what caused the accident. Yes.
And later today,
I don't understand what the issue is. She paid for the tickets. You did not, but you used the vouchers. I did. Well, then she's entitled to be compensated for what she paid. I mean, I don't know. This is not rocket science. Am I missing something here?
Whitney Shepard claims motorist Rachel Velasquez owes for property and water damage after Rachel's car ran over a fire hydrant and crashed into Whitney's home.
Something just came through my house. My house exploded. I'm stuck in here. I don't know what's going on. There is a car in my house. Oh my God. They hit the fire hydrant. He went through my house. I no longer have a house.
Okay. Did you receive a citation?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
No, ma'am.
Really?
No.
Well, then you want me to assume that the police officer said that he placed you under arrest, and I can understand why they didn't remove you from the hospital, that you were subsequently given a citation. But you had to receive some sort of citation from the police, madam, unless you have medical records which indicate that the blood that they drew indicated that there was no alcohol in your system, because this police officer determined that you were drunk. And this police report has absolutely nothing about a dog causing the accident. As you saying, I don't know what caused the accident. Yes. Okay, Ms. Shepard.
Yes.
The defendant is responsible for the damages done to your property. And so I've seen the extent of this damage done to the house. Were you able to stay in the house subsequent to this crash?
No.
Where did you go?
I got relocated to Corona. I'm renting a room in Corona.
And had you been renting the whole house?
Yes. Yes.
For how long?
10 years.
And what was your rent on the house?
$7.15 a month.
And in the 10 years that you lived there, you accumulated all your stuff?
Well, that and time before I lived there, but yes.
But for 10 years?
For 10 years.
Were you able to take any of your furniture?
I got 3 pieces of furniture, which included my mattress.
It was okay?
It was okay.
Okay.
And I got an armoire that is ruined at the bottom from the water, and a dresser that was ruined from the water.
The rest of the furniture in the house, did it belong to you?
It did.
Okay. So you had a table, chairs, eating?
Table and chairs, no couch. It was a small house, 457 square feet.
What about your clothes?
I have not seen my clothes since the day the accident happened.
Did the water infiltrate the house as a result of the fire hydrant?
Yes. I was trapped in that house for 4.5 hours. Me and my dog were trapped in the house for 4.5 hours. My dog was in bed with me, sleeping.
When you left to rent this room, did you take anything with you?
Well, the night the accident happened, when I was trapped for 4.5 hours, I was hiding because the fire hydrant was throwing big rocks onto the roof, and I thought the whole house was coming down. But I kept coming out and filling a backpack with things my grandchildren had given me and pictures of my grandchildren. I didn't even think to take clothes or anything out.
And you went right there to some place where you were relocated?
Yeah, I was relocated immediately. It was red tagged, and it took 68 days to get a yellow tag so I could hire a company.
Do you know how much the landlord got for the damage on this house?
She had insurance, and she's rebuilding right now.
So she had her own insurance?
She had her own insurance, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Velasquez, there's no question in my mind that your mind is fresher at the time of the incident than it is months and months later when you've had a chance to reflect on why an accident is not your fault. You were questioned by police officers immediately after the incident. You responded, actually, to the police officers and told them what happened and told them that you crashed and you didn't know why. The police officers observed your demeanor. They determined that you were operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol. I don't know whether you have insurance or not. I don't know whether you had insurance on the date of the incident or not. But by your careless and reckless behavior, you've turned this lady's life upside down. She had a little life in a little house where she had all of her property, and you've turned her life totally upside down. She has nothing. And you're responsible for that. So if you had no insurance or if the insurance disclaimed, that would be your problem. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $10,000. We're finished.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I think it was the correct decision, as it really could be the only decision.
I remember seeing the dog went through, but yeah, it was an accident.
I thought my house exploded, and I was in a house that was going to come down with my dog.
Luckily, I didn't hurt anybody.
I think anybody who would drink and drive isn't willing to take responsibility for their actions.
You know, sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're a bug. Sometimes you're both.
As in this case.
That's really a trick. I have no idea what that insurance is.
A lot of fine print, I'm feeling, was probably the issue.
Yeah, but I cannot imagine if it was legitimate insurance, and she had legitimate insurance, except that she's got a $10,000 maximum on any sort of collision. So I don't know what it is. I actually feel sorry for that lady, don't you?
Me too. Everything in 500 square feet in a home that she's built.
But she's comfortable. She was comfortable in it.
No, exactly.
She has nothing. And I didn't see a whole bunch of remorse there.
Nope, me neither.
Case number 2033, Broussard Farrell versus Stigney. All parties, please step forward.
Tammy Broussard and Catherine Fierro are suing 21-year-old Alicia Stigney for travel vouchers and harassment.
Whose son was it who was living with the defendant?
My son.
Broad strokes what I get from this. Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Your son became involved, according to you, with the defendant. She has one child with your son and one child with someone else.
Yes, ma'am.
What I gather, there was a time that everybody was happy living together, and I believe it was your brother who was getting married in Las Vegas.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant at that time was put in charge of ordering the plane tickets for everyone to go. But the defendant was told to use someone else's credit card. And who was that?
That's Catherine Fierro's.
That was Miss Fierro.
Yes.
Miss Fierro is whom?
I am the fiancé to her brother.
In any event, the wedding did not come off as planned in Las Vegas. Parties did not use the flight tickets that you had booked with someone else's credit card.
Correct.
And you were given travel vouchers. And that's what they're suing for. They want their travel vouchers. That's it. So I just have a few questions. It's not a very difficult case. When you booked the flights for everyone, how many tickets did you book?
It was myself, my 4-year-old. The infant was a lap, so she would not count.
And your boyfriend?
At the time, yes. Right?
Yes.
And then it was also Tammy Broussard, her daughter, and that was all.
Whose credit card did you pay for those tickets with?
It was Kat's.
That's you?
Yes.
And did you pay for those tickets?
They were put on my credit card. Yes, they were, Your Honor.
Did you in fact pay for them is my question.
Yes.
I'd like to see proof that you paid for their flights. And if you have the following month's bill as well, did you ever receive a credit for those flights?
No, I did not.
On
I wasn't
your
aware
credit-
of what happened until I asked the son, the airline, to send me this.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Because it's still on your credit card.
Yes.
Okay, so you received vouchers, according to this, that totaled a little over $1,000.
Yes.
What did you do with them?
I did use them.
Just a second. You didn't pay for the tickets.
Correct.
So my question is, why didn't you turn the vouchers over to the people who actually paid for the tickets? You booked the tickets but didn't pay for them. Wedding got canceled because of COVID. You got vouchers for what she paid for and you used them without any agreement. What is the issue here? Am I missing something?
Catherine Fierro claimed 21-year-old Alicia Stigney owes for travel vouchers and harassment.
Now, did you discuss the vouchers with her?
I did not meet her until, I believe, early February when we left Las Vegas to go to Minnesota. And shortly after meeting her the day that we got there, she called my fiance, asked if we could watch the baby.
No.
But we did have a discussion about it, a slight one.
Only a discussion with you. I don't want to hear about any conversation.
I did bring it up.
Well,
with
I'd
her.
like you to tell me what the
Well,
discussion
when
was.
we came to watch her baby for the first time, she went to show me the baby's room where the diapers were, where the wipes are, and she was running around looking for wipes, and I said, I don't want to seem rude, but you do have the vouchers, correct, for the wedding. They were specifically meant for my wedding. And she said she didn't really have time to talk about it, that she was going out for the weekend to Rochester to go out and have fun with her. So she just left very quickly. Then we watched the baby a second time, and I decided to leave a little bit early to get to the house to watch the baby. And when we arrived, she was out the door. So she did not want to talk about
Well, I don't. That's sort of speculation.
Yes.
I don't understand what the issue is. She paid for the tickets. You did not, but you used the vouchers.
I did.
Well, then she's entitled to be compensated for what she paid.
Your Honor, she also posted on Facebook trying to sell the tickets.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This is not rocket science. Am I missing something here? You booked the tickets but didn't pay for them. Wedding got canceled because of COVID. You got vouchers for what she paid for and you used them without any agreement. What is the issue here? Am I missing something?
I don't think so.
Would you tell me?
Yes. So back last year, I have the agreement. It was sometime, I think June or July. Tammy moved to Minnesota or to Austin.
Don't go off on a tangent. Listen to me.
Her apartment is in my name because she couldn't put it in her name.
Okay, and?
So they said, because later in February, Kat had now moved into Tammy's apartment with Tammy that is in my name.
Okay.
So they, as a thank you, they had said that they did not want the vouchers back, that I could use them. They also said that they were not able to use them before they expired in October of this year.
That's not true, Your Honor.
What do you mean they said? Those are two people.
Yes, Tammy and Kat. I had ran into Kat at Walmart sometime late March, I think it was, after me and the Romaine had broke up.
Whatever his name is, Romaine, and I broke up.
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out why you didn't give her the vouchers when you got them.
We were still together, me and Romaine. We were planning on taking a trip this
What
year.
difference does it make? Were you supposed to pay for the tickets to Vegas?
No.
Is that your agreement, that somebody else was going to pay for them?
They agreed that they'd pay for them, yes.
Is that right?
To come to the wedding, not to go anywhere else. Just
to come to the wedding, but the wedding was canceled.
Yes. Correct. And we did not speak at Walmart about anything about those.
What I have here are two charges, one for $320 and one for $538. Is that what you spent on the tickets?
Yes.
And ma'am, I have something from June 18th on Facebook where she was trying to sell them on Facebook, and I had,
I actually, Miss Brisson, don't understand why you're here.
I'm here because there's also a harassment. We have a police report regarding that.
Okay.
As well.
Okay, so with regard to your claim, she owes you $858 for the tickets.
Yes.
So that judgment is taken care of. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
The other part of the claim is for harassment. Do you want to tell me when this harassment started? I assume it was after your son and the defendant terminated their relationship. And if you indicated that you had a police report, I'd like to look at it.
Yes, ma'am. Here is the police report. And actually, the harassment had started.
Just 1 second. As far as this police report you gave me, the only thing that's complained about here, really from your end, initially, was the fact that your son's tax money was put in her bank account by mistake.
It was something entirely different because he doesn't have the evidence that he needs. But that
I don't care. I'm just telling you what the document is that you handed me as evidence of harassment. And the document that you handed me as evidence of harassment, the focal point of it is last week his tax return got deposited. Alicia withdrew all the money from the account, and this included $1,500 from the tax return and $1,000 that was in the account. That was the crux of your complaint against her. Well, that's not harassment.
Well, the harassment had started on April 27th, which is like a month after those two had broken up. It was a really nasty thing. I don't know, like it says in there, I don't know if it's coincidental, but she sped through a yellow light, almost hit me once. Her boyfriend had been a total nuisance in my parking lot, blowing the horn.
Listen to me very carefully. If you feel as if you are the subject of harassment, file for a protective order. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. The defendant owes your co-plaintiff $858. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I was very nice to them, and they just disregarded all of that.
She's very upset because my son no longer dates her.
There was drugs involved where she couldn't get her apartment of her own.
I pay my own rent, I pay my own bills. I just have bad credit, and it's not even a drug-related thing.
I was nice and put their apartment in my name, and that didn't matter to them.
She's a thief. I mean, those tickets were meant for my wedding, and she used them for something else. It doesn't matter if you're nice or not. Give it back.
I wish they were all that simple.
Yeah, I mean, from reading the papers, I could tell there was some more conflict than I think we got into. But none of that underlying conflict between any of the parties had anything to do with the facts of the case. That she used someone else's credit card, she received a benefit that she did not pay for, and they were entitled to it.
Easy.
Yeah, easy.
Easy. After it was hit by the defendant's car while your car was parked.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendants are seeking the same amount of money because they say that despite the fact that one of them did in fact hit your parked car, it was your fault. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who was driving?
I was driving.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, on what date did this incident happen?
February 3rd.
What time?
About 5:30 in the morning.
Who was in the car with you?
Nobody. I was by myself. I was going to pick up my son.
You were going to pick up your son from where?
From his mother's house to take him to school.
And where does he go to school that he has to be there at 5:30 in the morning?
He doesn't have to be there at 5:30. I have to leave at 5:30 to get him there by 7.
Do you take him to school every day?
No.
What was different about February 3rd?
His mother, stepfather, and the rest of their family was out of town. They had asked me to take him to school that day.
Just for that one day?
Yep.
Yep is not an answer.
Oh, yes,
yes
ma'am.
It's an answer. Okay, so it's about 5:30 in the morning, and?
I left my house. It was raining. It was cold. It's pretty much the same route I take every day, not at that same time.
I was approaching a stop sign at an intersection by the plaintiff's house, and I seen, I guess, either a reflection or what I thought were lights headed in my direction, so I swerved. And
Okay, you're still traveling, so you're moving. Does somebody have a diagram of where this happened?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, you were approaching a stop sign.
Yeah, I was approaching an intersection.
So, right...
Were you there?
No, ma'am.
Sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
You were approaching an intersection.
Yeah.
It's a two-way road.
Yeah.
And it looks to me from that, is that an accurate representation?
Yeah, except for there was another vehicle on the other side of the road.
Okay, but it looks to me that you're traveling sort of in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Okay, and a car is coming from something. You're not sure what.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was.
We're not sure what.
And I swerved. I just got over to the proper side of the road.
And your car swerved. And when your car swerved, it hit that blue car that's sitting there. That's the plaintiff's car that was sitting in front of his house.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Is not an answer. Yes. Okay. Now, do you want to tell me what you did next?
I went through the intersection, turned around to follow what I thought might have been a vehicle headed my direction. And when I didn't see a vehicle, I took my vehicle home. I parked it. I got my insurance information, my driver's license, and I walked back to his house to trade insurance information with him.
Okay. You have a video of this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
From where?
From my surveillance cameras.
Is it set up for me to watch it here?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm ready. That's your car, sir?
Yes.
Okay, let's see that again.
Notice how the truck is covered?
Okay, so you hit the plaintiff's car hard enough to push it up on the curb.
Speed limit is 30 miles an hour.
I've just asked you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks as if you hit it hard enough to push it up on the curb.
Yes, I did.
But you told me a moment ago, Mr. Gilbert, and you just piped in that the speed limit there is 30 miles an hour. You said you were slowing down for a stop sign.
I said I was approaching a stop sign.
Well, when you're approaching a stop sign, you don't approach a stop sign at 30 miles an hour, especially if it's in a neighborhood that you've been in. But according to you, you drive that neighborhood regularly.
Yep.
However, not at that time. That's what you said.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you are approaching a stop sign, when I approach a stop sign, and if I know there's a stop sign there, I start applying my brakes a little bit before. Now, I do drive with some people who sort of like to play chicky with a stop sign. You know, maybe the stop sign is going to move. Maybe it's going to become a welcome mat. So they wait until they get right up to it and put their brakes on. But that's not what you told me you did.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'm going to say, if you were going very slowly, sir, approaching a stop sign, you wouldn't have hit his car with such force that you push him up on the curb. Okay, your defense is to this action, as I said, that he was parked and he had this car that was covered and it was parked facing the wrong direction, which is totally irrelevant as to was facing the wrong direction.
That's the state law.
It's covered over, so you don't know which direction it was facing in. Certainly the light wasn't on it. If you're staying...
I passed this...
I didn't ask you for anything. You weren't there.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there.
Yes, ma'am, but...
She lives in the neighborhood. She drives by it
every
every day.
for
Just a second.
years.
What do I need that for? I have a video.
Okay.
I have a
Did
video.
you see the stop sign in the video? No. You have no idea
you
how
just,
close I was.
You just told me you were approaching a stop sign.
Yeah,
Would
there
you
is
read
a
that
stop
back to
sign.
me?
There is a stop sign.
Would you read that back to me? I was approaching a stop sign. Does he say I slowed down? I was approaching a stop sign? I don't remember.
It's about...
I didn't say... I did not
Now
say...
you can leave.
I did not say I was slowing down.
Now you can leave.
I did not say I was slowing down. I said I was approaching a stop sign.
Okay, that's what I thought. But that's why we have Whitney.
He says he was approaching a stop sign at an intersection by the plaintiff's house, and I can see either a reflection or what I see lights headed in my direction, so
Okay,
I
now
swerve.
I would like to see that video again one more time. I would like to see if I see something coming towards you. Actually, I don't see another vehicle coming towards you. Is that a truck parked there?
It's a food truck behind it. It's like catty corner to his vehicle. There's a food trailer there that had all of the right.
A food truck on the other side of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
A food truck that you could see, but that's parked.
Well, I assume since there was no actual lights coming, I assume maybe that's what light reflected off of.
You don't assume anything. All you know is you saw something that made you swerve.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether it was there or not there. So am I getting the fact that your total defense is based on the fact that his car shouldn't have been parked there?
Yes, ma'am. Or covered.
Yeah, well, but that's a finable offense, Mr. Gilbert. That's a finable offense.
If it doesn't cause an accident.
No, I don't think it caused the accident. You caused the accident.
How did
You
I cause
caused the accident. This is an inert object.
According to my HOA guidelines, that vehicle is supposed to be in his garage. According to Texas state law, it's not supposed to be on the road.
And I'm going to tell you, I absolutely agree with you that that's a finable offense if his car is parked. So you're trying to interrupt me.
Okay.
That it's a finable offense. The question is his car being parked illegally the proximate cause of this accident? That's the question. Would that be a fair? I didn't ask you a question unless you went to law school.
Huh? No, ma'am.
Unless you went to law school. Am I in the realm? You're closer to that, was Palsgraf versus Long Island Railroad. His car may have been parked in the wrong spot. If you had somebody that left a baby carriage with a baby on the street, which is certainly against the law and would be a neglectful act on the part of the parent, and if you happen to swerve up to avoid something and hit that baby carriage, you can't say that baby carriage is the cause of the accident.
No,
you're the cause of the accident.
No, the owner of the baby carriage is.
No, you are.
No, they are.
So
how am I responsible for their baby carriage?
Because your car is moving, sir, and if you're approaching a stop sign, you're not supposed to be going.
If the vehicle wasn't covered, you could see the reflectors that are on it. That's what they're there for.
Reflectors on what?
Reflectors on the truck that's covered. They have headlights, turn signals, everything that's reflective that you could see. There was no reflectors or signals for me to see to know it was there.
You would have hit it whether it was covered or not. Of course. Very good. May I please see the...
That's for... I wouldn't have hit it, could I see it?
Kevin, I want to see what he's got as far as work for the car. Okay, so this is clearly a project car, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it don't run.
Get him out of here.
Let's go.
He's done. He's done.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, that makes my life so much easier.
And later today.
He wanted to go. There was no reason why he couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle. And for harassment, well, since neither one of them can keep control of themselves, the counterclaim is dismissed. I'm looking at this truck, Mr. Gonzalez. When did you purchase it, sir? And from whom?
In October of last year. I purchased it online.
Do you have the bill of sale from when you purchased it?
I don't have the bill of sale, but on the paperwork, I have the post on Facebook on how much I paid for it. It was for $8,000.
Okay.
I also have an appraisal on there as well.
I see the appraisal, but I don't have what it's going to take to fix the spot where he damaged the car. He damaged the car in this whole side end.
Yes.
I mean, he's not going to give you a classic car.
Well, I know.
That's not going to happen.
I know.
Okay, that's not going to happen. And certainly, you do understand that I'm not awarding you anything close, even though they're two obnoxious people, anything close to $10,000. You do understand that, Mr. Gonzalez. You're going to have to get this car fixed right now. I'm looking. Where is a invoice for either the work you had done or an estimate to fix that part of the car that he injured?
I cannot give that to you because
then I don't have it,
the vehicle is a classic. It's very hard to find that type of vehicle.
Well, then what you're asking me is to guess, sir.
Well, I can give you the rates as far as how much.
You can't give me anything.
Okay.
You have to take the car in to somebody who deals with classic cars. This is a 70-year-old truck, and it's certainly beat up. You had it covered for a long time. It shouldn't have been on the street. You do know that. And I assume that since it's not driven, you didn't have it insured.
Well, I took it out for Halloween. Just for the kids.
Well, I mean, where do you suggest that I conjure up a figure of $10,000 when you have a car that's a year old that has never been driven that you take out and it's a Halloween ornament? So let me explain this to you. I have to guess at a figure. I would be prepared to award you $2,000 to fix your car because I did see that it had to be damaged as a result of the damage to the defendant's car. If you feel as if you would fare better in your local small claims court where this case came from, because I have dismissed their counterclaim, I will dismiss your case without prejudice and you can take it back to the lower court. Take your choice.
I'll go ahead and take it from you. I know I'm not going to get anything from them.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. Counterclaims dismissed. Fix your car. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I didn't agree on the price, but with them kind of people, I'm not going to get my money back. It's time to get it repaired.
I think you have to be a certain kind of person to not take any accountability when you hit a stationary object. I'll admit, I think that it was probably a 90%, 10% split, 10% plaintiff's fault for parking on the street. I looked up the section code in Texas and did find that if you leave a car longer than 5 days on the street, you're in violation of a code. But like you tried to explain to the very hot-headed defendant, that's a finable offense. That doesn't mean you can ram into it with your vehicle and not be at fault. I just don't know how you take zero accountability after hitting a stationary object.
I don't know either, but that's, I think, a problem with a country that's grown up in the last 50 years, that it's never your fault.
Yep.
It's always somebody else. It's the state's fault. It's the city's fault. It's somebody else's fault. And it's sad because I know that there was lots of acrimony between the two of them without it. But they were hotheads. This is the first time you ever saw me send somebody out.
Long time.
Yeah,
long time since I've seen it. Yeah. But when they're clearly not getting the message and they're being hostile, that's not the proper way to come to court.
No.
Especially when you're in the wrong.
All right, but they have to live near each other. I hope that they sort of get it together.
Just keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Case 2067, Garcia versus Tarrant. All parties, please step forward.
Amari Garcia is suing fellow motorist April Tarrant for damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile-motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Miss Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealership that I bought it from.
Your Honor.
You know you're not supposed to be driving a car, Miss Tarrant, without insurance.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have proof that April Tarrant purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Thank you. For $2,050.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
I want to show this to her. I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But that's to, and...
No, the person, the seller.
And I have my paperwork in my car.
Well, but you understand that that's
I understand what you said because it's right there.
That's...
Yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car on the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please, where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I didn't want to veer into here. I was slowing down. I was around 25 miles per hour. This lane at the time was too close. So I shared this lane on this side.
Miss Garcia, I got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
But
this diagram...
You know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia. I really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor. Right here.
And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine. Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn because the two cars there were stopped, and those were the only two traffic lanes there. Now, I don't know whether she could see whether it's a motorcycle or a bicycle traveling in the bike lane, but what happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy.
April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Tarrant?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes, my son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side, and while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car, and then she was cut.
Okay, and you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries, and I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Tarrant, that the police interviewed witnesses. The witnesses were in the stopped cars.
Yes.
And at the end of all of their interviewing process, they determined that you were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy based upon the police report, because each of you are going to tell two different stories about what happened that day. Police were there, they looked at the physical evidence, they looked at the injuries, they looked at the damage to the roadway, they interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law, and what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know, and these two front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And I was...
No, you said both lanes.
Both lanes paused.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
That's what you say. That's not what this says.
See, but they both did. And as I was approaching...
I'm just telling you.
No, I know.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm just telling you. That's not what this is.
Exactly.
That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those two cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light. There wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic. And so the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn when you shouldn't have been making a left turn, that's what this says. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Garcia, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me, so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, you know, that were convertibles, and my father bought me a 15-year-old blue and white Cadillac sedan. It was so embarrassing to drive around in that car. It was a boat. Oh, come on, everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You know, you wanted to go, there was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California, based on the California Highway Patrol.
Okay, I know. I see the pictures. So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it. What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Beville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which is $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up, after the car had made impact with me, the bike went that way, I went up into the air.
It was really frightening.
I hit the ground, I hit on my elbow.
I've never experienced that before.
I was really scared. I thought, like, oh, this is it, my legs are out.
And they said I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and, you know, like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for...
One of his dogs attacked your dog.
Yes, ma'am. Her dog came out barking at my dogs.
I don't care. I don't know what you were smiling about. I wouldn't be smiling if I were you.
This is Judy Justice.
To neighbors, you probably share a common area either in the front or the back. You have small dogs. I think you have a large dog or two.
2 of them, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, 2 of them.
And it is your claim that one of his dogs attacked your dog on your property. The dog was injured. You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills that you had for your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been neighbors?
I've been living in the neighborhood for 23 years.
And what about you, sir?
2.
Do you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I rent it.
Are you familiar with Mr. Moon's dogs?
Not at all, sir.
Have you ever seen them before?
No, ma'am.
You mean in the 2 years that he's been there prior to this incident, you've never seen his dogs?
They live in a back cul-de-sac from where I am.
Do you have adjacent property?
No, ma'am. He lives maybe about, I want to say almost a mile.
Really? Mm-hmm. Is that correct, sir?
I guess so. I don't know exactly where her house is either.
Well, so you don't have adjacent property.
We just live in the same neighborhood.
How did your dog get out? Almost not an answer.
Yes, ma'am. So the one...
Try to speak up.
I guess it jumped over the fence.
What kind of a dog is it?
A pit mix.
On what day did it jump over the fence?
About 2 months ago from today.
Has it ever jumped over the fence before?
It has.
Then you don't have a big enough fence.
Well, she climbs the fence. It's not that she just hops over it. She actually literally climbs it.
And you keep her inside. Then you keep her outside if she wants to be outside, and you keep her on a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you were aware of the fact that your dog can get out from over the fence, then the dog is not in your control.
Correct.
On what date was your dog injured?
May 10th.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the incident?
I didn't see it right away, but as I set the dogs out to use the bathroom, went back in the house, put some clothes on, heard a commotion, went back outside, and that's when I seen the first attack. And I yelled at the dogs, and they took off running down the street.
How many were there?
2.
Were they pit bulls?
Yes, ma'am. It's to my knowledge.
What color were they?
White.
Is that the color of your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were together? The 2 of them were together?
Yes, ma'am.
You say that was the first attack?
Right.
So your dog was okay?
Well, he was laying in the ground, and I ran and put clothes on. I yelled at him. The dogs took off running. I come back out to get him, but he's on the other side of the yard. I have a half acre, so he's literally on the other side of the yard.
Your dog or his dog?
My dog. After I seen the video, I wasn't sure how he got there, but the animal control say I don't have a case unless I have video, and I looked at the video.
Where did you have a camera? In your backyard?
In my front yard. It's
Do
in
you
the
have
front.
that video here?
Yes, ma'am, I
I'd
do.
like to take a look at it. Is that your yard?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's your dog, sir?
That's my little one, the black and white.
The little one is your dog, but the big one is his.
Yes, ma'am. Let's see there.
You understand what the problem is?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you, Mr. Moon, tell me what the problem is?
So I think she was there to prevent it, for one. So there's other videos too. But she came out, she shushed my dogs away. They ran off, and then she went back inside and left her dogs outside with no leash or fenced in.
That's in her property.
I went back.
How do I know what?
That's her
How
property.
do I know that's her? There's no property lines or nothing.
No, that's her property.
Okay, well.
That's her property. You live a half a mile away.
Her dog could have ran out of her yard. He was like halfway out in the yard or field or whatever that was. You know, I mean, her dog came out barking at my dogs. And if he really would have wanted to hurt the dog, then he could have killed the dog if he wanted to. I feel like he was more
Just a second,
more playing.
Just a second is that's an interesting statement. He could have killed her dog if he wanted to.
Right.
That's an interesting statement. Did you see her dog? You know what kind of dog hers is?
No, I mean it's a
Little Schnurdicker,
right.
right? Little one, maybe 5 pounds, maybe 6.
3.
Hmm?
3 pounds.
Okay. You think that if her dog, and then you've got a little Pekingese,
That's Pomeranian.
Pomeranian. She's got a little Pomeranian. Do you think that if those dogs got out from their fenced yard, like your dog, you think if they came across your dogs, they could kill it? Or both of them? You think they could?
No.
Okay. Let's take it a step further, Mr. Moon, because you're not giving me the answers that I want to hear. So let's take it a step further. Do you think that if Miss Smallwood's 2 little dogs got out like your dogs got out and they came across a toddler playing in their backyard, do you think her 2 little dogs could kill the toddler?
Probably not.
Could yours?
Probably so.
Probably so. So do you think that you have a greater or a lesser responsibility as the owner of dogs that are capable of killing a human being? You think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time? You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger. You wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb.
And later today,
Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation.
her neighbor, Nathan Moon, owes for vet bills from a dog attack.
So you think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time?
Correct. Well, since then,
And what you told me, I'm still venting, because for those people in the world that decide that dangerous dog breeds, those dog breeds that have been deemed dangerous in every state in the United States, and insurance companies won't insure you if you have certain breeds of dogs, and yours are within that little group of dogs. Most insurance companies, unless you pay a very high premium, exclude injury from those dogs. So you understand that you have animals that are deemed dangerous, and you told me 5 minutes ago that your dogs are able to climb over the fence, and they've done it before this incident. Isn't that what you told me? I mean, I have my reporter here who can read it back. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you agree with me that your dogs are capable of causing death to a human being, and that your dogs have been able to get out from the enclosure that you prepared for them, then there is no question that you are responsible for any damage that your dogs do to another dog, to a child, to an adult. You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb, because if you did, you would be responsible if it ate 3 people. Do you know how many people pit bulls killed last year? They just killed another one in New York. A woman ate her. So you want to be a fool and have a dog like that, you're responsible for any injury it causes.
Also have pictures of the injury.
I'd like to see it. How much were your vet bills, Miss Smallwood?
The vet bill was $1,421.
And I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Moon. So there's no question you're responsible for her vet bills. No question. But because you told me that your dogs had gotten out before and you didn't remedy that situation, I'm tacking on another $1,000, which is what she's requesting. And while it's not for pain and suffering of the dog, because I'm precluded from giving you that kind of an award, it's a deterrence for people who have dogs that can kill, to keep those dogs under their control all the time. And if you don't want to do that, get a Pomeranian. We're done. $2,400. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
Our dogs weren't on leash or in a fence either.
Well, I'm glad she understood the dangers of pit bulls.
She was just requesting the vet bills.
Glad she seen the case going my way.
I mean, she just wanted the money and said that our dog was injured.
Just hurts my heart still.
I wish I could have had more control over my dogs.
To see him, slung around like a rag.
Man, sorry.
Contain your animals.
Yeah, one thing you picked up on but didn't quite name it was that when he knew his dog was capable of climbing over his own fence that he had enclosed the dogs in, he was on notice from that point forward that his dogs were capable of getting out of the yard. He knew that they had potential to be dangerous dogs, and he chose not to do anything about it. And you can't claim anything was an accident after the point where you were put on notice. So I agreed completely with your judgment.
A, I'm glad you agree with me, and B, I'm glad that the money was well spent on your education.
Case number 2038, Stewart versus Thomas. All parties, please step forward.
Precious Stewart is suing hairstylist Karani Thomas for damages from a wig installation.
Ms. Stewart, we are complaining that the defendant who tried to restyle or reinstall a wig that you had recently purchased did a terrible job. And in addition to doing a terrible job, she tried to fix it, and then she didn't return it to you.
Exactly.
So you want the cost of the wig.
And the install.
And what?
And the install.
And the $200 that
yes,
you charge you for the installation of the wig. That's that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation. Okay, you purchased this wig when?
I purchased the wig on February 12th.
Of what year?
2022.
Can I see the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you paid $697 for it?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you bought wigs from this particular outlet before?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not her outlet?
No, ma'am.
And did this outlet where you purchased the wigs from, did they also install it?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you install the wig that you purchased?
The first time that I installed it was March 3rd.
What did you do with it between the 12th and the 3rd?
You said between the 12th?
12th of February and March 3rd.
Well, she had it.
Who had it?
The lady.
The other lady?
Yes.
What did she do with it?
She just held it in because she installed it for me the first time.
You're not understanding me. You purchased it on February 12th.
Yes.
Did you use it or did you not use it between February 12th and March? Didn't use it. So the first time it was installed was March 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have other wigs?
Yes, ma'am.
That you use regularly. The first time it was installed, according to you, it didn't look right. And you thereafter contacted the defendant. Had you ever used her services before?
No, ma'am.
How did you know about her?
She did a fashion show with me and another girl before, and she was a model. That's how I was introduced to her before. We proceeded to follow each other over social media, so I was, watching her do hair and post her videos and stuff, so that's how
So you contacted her on what date to do a reinstall?
I believe it was March.
Shh.
March. No, it wasn't.
In the month of March?
Yes.
The same month that you had it initially installed?
It was the end of March.
But for same month?
Yes.
And you went to her home? Is that where she operates?
Yes,
I gather that you were in her home.
At the time, yes. She used to work inside a studio.
What I read in your complaint was when you left, you noticed that the installation had left certain, according to you, bald spots in the netting.
Yes, ma'am.
And you contacted the defendant?
Right away.
Do you remember that call, Miss Thomas? You had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after we
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it.
Sorry. I didn't ask you anything.
Precious Stewart claims hairstylist Karani Thomas did not properly install her wig and never returned it.
Okay. Do you remember that call, Miss Thomas?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what she said to you when she called.
She said that specifically there were spots or gaps that she needed to be fixed. So I told her that she can come back the next day and we would fix whatever spots because she didn't send me a picture. So I just told her, go ahead, come back the next day.
But she did, in fact, pay you the $200 for installing the wig.
Her coming back the next day wasn't an extra charge.
Did she come back the next day?
No.
Do you know why?
She did not come back at the time that she was supposed to because she said that her carpets were getting clean and she forgot. I also have proof of that in messages.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Okay, so it looks as if the day that you were set to go there, you kept stalling it because you had workmen in your house.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah,
that's a yes.
I had a maintenance man.
Yeah, that's yes. You had workmen in the house. She said, come. You had workmen in the house. And then you asked to come when her baby was sleeping. And she said, don't come when my baby is sleeping because the dogs will bark and wake up the baby. That's the only page that I have here.
Yes,
when did she come back?
Afterward, that same night, I have another paper. She didn't come back, and then she sent me this text message letting me know that she got in contact with another hairstylist that's apparently a friend of hers, saying that...
Well, I can read.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you say in this text is that you showed the wig to somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they told you that it couldn't be fixed because too much was plucked away and whatever.
Too much of the lace.
And you want a full refund and a wig replacement. And then you say, I hate this because you're a very sweet person, very talented. I'm not sure how we got here. I'm going to proceed with removing the wig from my head. I'll bring it to you so you can see if there's any saving possible. Thank you and sorry for the inconvenience. When did you do that?
The same day.
Okay, so you brought it to her.
No, I didn't bring it to her. I told her that the same day that I...
No, when did you bring it to her?
I brought it to her the next day.
Okay, so that was still the end of March, or was that the beginning of April?
I believe it was still the end of March.
It was March 26th.
So you brought it to her, and what happened?
I brought it to her. She said that she would try to fix it. She then proceeded trying to fix it. She sent me photos of what she tried to do, which wasn't really much of anything because it still looked bald, as I have a photo right here. Still looked the same way that it looked when she took it off. I mean, when she put it on. Also, I have these photos as well as what it looked like the next morning. Looked like it was disintegrating off my head. That's a proper install the next morning. A few hours.
Just looking.
Doesn't do that.
Okay. Okay. I see them. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
She's seen them. Yes, I have them.
You have them?
She sent that to my phone.
Okay, great. I'll take them back now. Thank you, Kevin. You're welcome, Judge. Okay, so you had a dissatisfied customer who wanted her money back.
Right.
What did you do with the wig? Because you now had the wig.
Right. I reconstructed the wig. So after we
What did you do with it?
She told me she sold it.
Sorry. I didn't ask you anything. Sorry. What did you do with the wig?
It had been over 2 months since we had in contact with each other. I just got rid of it.
How did you get rid of it?
I threw it away.
Why?
Because I had spent money that went to waste and I replaced it. I couldn't do anything with it.
What do you mean replaced it?
I replaced the frontal that she said I made bald. So I spent my own money. I reconstructed it by putting a new frontal on the wig. I have messages of her agreeing, saying that the new work looked good and she would not come pick the wig up because I wouldn't do another install on her head.
May I see those? I assume those text messages go into April and May.
Yes.
Okay. So we're not that far away. And I would assume that the wig doesn't take up that much room in your house.
Well, she didn't come back until June.
It doesn't matter.
With the police.
What does that matter?
She said that she didn't want it anymore.
Good morning, Boo. I'll be home tomorrow. Okay, I'll get back to take pictures of well. Okay. Well, in any event, you had no right to either give it away, sell it, throw it away until this matter was resolved. So you owe her, first, the $675 that you spent for the wig.
May I speak?
You can speak all you want, but you owe her the $675 that you spent for the wig. You had no right to throw it away.
Even with her saying that she didn't want it anymore?
I never said I didn't want it, though.
But you did. I have proof of that.
You said I did. I said I didn't want it.
Are you talking to each other? If you talk to each other, then I dismiss your case. Do you understand?
Sorry, you're right.
Bottom line. So if you have proof that she said to you, you can discard the wig, You can discard the wig. Then I'll say, I don't want that wig anymore. You owe me for the wig because you ruined it. That's a different story than I don't want it anymore.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Can I find that?
Absolutely.
I don't know if what I'm trying to find is in the papers that you have or here. So I'm sorry if I'm taking long. I'm reading.
I don't see anything in the papers that I have here that says you can get rid of it.
Okay, I do. I have it. Well, it doesn't say get rid of it, but it does say you can keep the wig and give me my $700 then.
Oh, yeah. I can understand that. So did you give her money? You kept it? No. You kept it?
I did not.
Did you give her money?
No, I did not.
Well, then you owe her $697 for the wig and the other $200 that she paid you, which I believe she did for the install. Judgment for the plaintiff, $897. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Court, Your Honor. I think she made the right decision.
I feel like the judge made the wrong decision.
I was trying to let things die down, maybe a civil person.
We both came to an agreement that I would reconstruct the unit.
It would have been like, hey, it doesn't belong to me, let me just give it back.
The problem was that she wouldn't come back and pick it up because I wouldn't install her hair again.
Just give me my wig back. And she told me no.
I felt I didn't owe her any money.
I don't got the wig, but I'm getting my money back.
Simple, easy. You can't throw away somebody's property.
Yep.
The only thing that I was amazed at in the complaint, Sarah, is that she sat there for 5.5 hours while she had this wig installed.
Yeah, beauty is pain.
I cannot imagine sitting someplace 5.5 hours without leaving with a baby or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
the things women do for beauty.
You share the same father?
Yes.
Have you always had a relationship with your father?
Yes.
And you, Miss Gaines?
Yes.
There came a time when you were living with your dad.
Yes.
From when to when were you living with your dad?
From October 2018 to December 2021.
And who was living at the same residence?
It was me, my dad, and a roommate, my dad's roommate.
No children?
Yes, my children stayed there as well. I do apologize.
Well, that's important.
Sorry.
How many children?
I have 4 daughters.
How old are they?
11, 10, 4, and 5.
Were you working?
Yes.
From 18 to 21?
I stopped working in November 2019, and I started back working October 21.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for United Healthcare. I'm a customer service rep for Optum.
Just so that I get a sense, because this is a family issue, you clearly had a life before you moved to your father's house in 2018. Could you tell me why you moved to your father's house in 2018?
Because where I was living, the house was smaller, and my dad felt like he wanted me and my children to be in a safer environment.
So you had an ongoing, constant relationship with him?
Yes.
And Miss Gaines, tell me about you. Did you ever live with your father?
I lived with my father when I was in the 9th grade.
But not since you were a child?
No.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
I did. Me and my father do mechanic work together most of the time, so I'm at his house a lot.
Was that a business that you had together?
Just more so for fun, family time. If he needed help, I could go in and assist him. I just use that as extra time.
And that was consistent and up through 2021?
Yes.
So you saw your sister there? Because she was living there with her children?
Yes. On occasion, though, her and her kids would be out more often. I would just go and visit my dad when the house was empty and he needed more company and help and assistance because he was there alone.
How old was he?
He's about 24 years older than me, so I believe he's like 59 now.
Did you see your sister at your father's house in the years that you were living there?
She came to visit, yes.
And they worked together on mechanical stuff?
I never saw that. Me and my sister, we had a close relationship, so she would come over and hang out with me all the time.
Okay, good. And then, unfortunately, something happened. You want to tell me when that was and what it was?
October, I believe it was the 30th. Me and my sister, we got into an altercation.
Tell me the beginnings of it, because each of you claimed that the other harassed, claimed your sister assaulted you, and both of you claimed some damage to automobiles that was caused by the other during the course of these altercations. Okay, so tell me what happened in October.
So the Thursday prior to the 30th, which was a Saturday in October, my sister was supposed to come to my house and do my kids' hair. But that was something that I had just asked her to do. Like we said, I stayed with my dad. They were having some issues, so
Who was having issues?
my sister and my dad.
Were you having issues with your father around that time?
I was told I was having issues with my father at that time by my sister Jessica.
Did you discuss it with your father?
I did, and I found out that that was a lie that Jessica had told him, was making up lies to make us not like each other.
Okay, so there was some bad feeling about that.
Right, so I was inviting her over because she was struggling, and I needed my kids' hair done for a picture day. So
She was what?
Struggling.
Struggling.
Financially.
Okay.
So I offered to pay her to do my kids' hair. My dad did inform me that she wasn't able to come to the house, that I needed to go to her house. And I don't really know what her situation was like over there, so I let my dad know I was uncomfortable. And I also let her know our dad said it was not okay for you to come over here with us today. And he wanted an apology.
He wanted an apology?
Yes.
From her?
Yes.
Is your father well?
He has diabetes and...
Okay, but there's nothing preventing him from coming to court. Okay. Well, then you can't tell me what he told you because that's hearsay. Did your sister come over to the house on October 30th?
Yes.
Approximately what time?
I believe 11:30 in the morning.
Had you had a conversation with her that morning and told her not to come over?
Yes.
Did you tell her why?
Oh, I can't speak on it because he's not here.
No,
I don't.
My question is, did you tell your sister why?
Yeah.
What did you tell your sister?
That our dad would not want her there.
Is that what she told you?
That is what she told me.
Did you ask her why?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She told me that my dad was under the impression that I was hanging out with drug dealers and dangerous people, and that he didn't want me around.
Did you call your father?
I did.
And you had a discussion with him?
I did.
Were you invited over to the house?
I called...
That's either a yes or no.
No.
So now you have information, whether accurate or not, that you weren't welcome in your father's house for whatever reason, or for the reason that was articulated to you. You called your father to confirm that, and your father did, in fact, confirm that.
He confirmed that there was a issue between Jessica and I, and that we needed to resolve it. He was not going to get involved with it, but he did not confirm that I was denied access to his house.
Well, just from my information, what did you think the issue was between you and your sister?
She was lying to my father.
Well, no, your father didn't say that your sister's lying to me. Your father had to have indicated to you that these are the things that I'm being told, and you have to resolve that with your sister.
Yes.
But your father told you not to come to the house.
No, he did not tell me not to come to the house.
Did he suggest you come to the house?
Neither. He neither suggested I come or not to. He just said I should
resolve it with her.
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there that morning?
I stated to her that I would come over and resolve it right then and there.
You told him?
They were both on the phone. Okay. I called his cell phone.
Did your sister, then your sister said, I'm going to come over, and you knew she was coming?
Yes, she said...
Okay, that's a yes. You knew she was coming, so this wasn't a surprise visit. You knew she was coming. Now tell me what happened when she got there.
So when she gets there, me and my dad were standing outside already. She gets out of her car. I approach her car. It's a little back and forth, and then...
No, tell me the back and forth, and try to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So when I approach her car, she jumps out the car. Then she reaches for a taser, so then I close her in the door. And once my dad, we were outside together, he pulls me off the door. She then takes her car, it's a video. She's attempting to run me over with her car. She did manage to run over my foot. I then went in the house. I got a broomstick, like an attachment, like the broom wasn't attached. But I've got the broomstick, and I went outside and I started swinging it at her car. And I damaged the hood of her car and the window.
And then she left?
No. She stayed at the house. I went back in the house. She called the police, and I'm not sure what happened after she called the police.
Well, did the police arrive?
My dad informed me that we didn't know what she was telling the police, that when police come, everybody gets arrested. So he said, I had something to do that day, go get a facial, an appointment at 1 o'clock. So I just went ahead and headed off to that.
So you left?
Yes.
You knew she called the police and you left?
Yes.
Leaving your dad to explain to the police what happened?
My dad didn't talk to the police neither.
So they just came?
As far as I know, they just came, knocked on the door. When I called to see if there was a report made, the police said no report was made. That was it.
Okay, fine. So the damage that was done to your car was done with a broomstick handle?
Yes.
To her car?
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
Now, Miss Gaines, did you have a taser in your car?
I don't own a taser.
And when you got to the house, your father was standing with her?
No.
Where was he?
He was exiting the house. She was already, when I pulled up, she was exiting the house.
But he was outside?
She was already at the sidewalk when I pulled up. So he was at the door.
Well, why don't you tell me your version of what happened when you pulled up?
I pulled up. I was recording the incident on my phone. I don't have that recording because it was on Instagram. I didn't want the embarrassment to go on any longer. I tried to screen record it, but it didn't save.
Okay, so you don't have video.
I don't have that full video. I do have a short video of her actually attacking the car with the stick that she came out of the house with, though. So I do have that.
I'd like to look at it.
I have the full video.
Okay, I'd like to see hers, and thank you for telling me you have the full video.
Okay. I think the full video might be more sufficient because
She sued me for the damages already.
She sued you. Did she get the damages?
Yes.
Oh.
She was granted.
Okay. Okay, so you sued her already and you got a judgment.
Yes, for that incident.
For this damage?
But not the damage that would happen on December the 12th.
Just a second. Okay, so we don't have to deal with this damage. And subsequent to this damage that you caused to your sister's car, you had damage to your car.
Yes.
And tell me what that was.
So on 3 different occasions, she came to my house and popped both of my tires on the driver's side of my car.
Okay. And this was after October 30th?
Yes.
You'd been living at your father's house for 3 years with your children. During that 3-year period of time, was your car ever damaged?
No.
Did you ever have tires popped on the car?
No.
Did you confront your sister at any time about the damage to your car?
No.
According to this, you have a video of her near your car on one of those occasions.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Before I even look at it, Ms. Gaines, you received a judgment and were compensated for the damage to your car caused by your sister. Do you acknowledge that you or someone acting on your behalf flattened her tires?
1 tire.
Okay, so you say you flattened them 1 time.
1 tire, 1 time.
And when?
Right before November.
Okay, and what did you flatten the tires with?
Knife.
So you
Just 1
slashed.
tire.
She did say tires, didn't she?
1 tire.
She said 1 tire, 1 time.
Okay, and that was in November.
Beginning of November.
Did you pay for that tire?
I did not.
And do you have photographs of the flattened tires?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. How many times were they flattened?
My tires were flattened 3 times.
Tires. How many tires the first time?
2.
How many tires the second time?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. 2.
How many tires the third time?
2.
And you filed a case against your sister for damage to your car on what date?
This is the court case I filed for damages for my car. Well, originally I just filed for...
When did she file the case, against you for damages to her car?
December 16th.
And your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
Yes, well, I had took the receipt before, so I don't have the receipt, but I have the police report where the police...
No, I want to see the receipt.
I'm sorry.
I need damages. You want damages, you have to show me that you spent money to replace the tires and how much they cost.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
Did you counter sue her for the tires when she sued you?
No.
Well, why would the judge take your receipts for the tire?
Because he took all of our evidence at the end of the case.
No. The only reason a court would take your evidence is if you had a counterclaim for your damage.
I'm new to the court thing, so I didn't know to counter sue. So when I had to file paperwork, so when I went to court on our court date, I was just letting the judge know, like, look, she did these damages to me. I didn't file a counter sue claim. I didn't know I had to do that.
The judge looked at it and didn't return that to you?
He said any evidence that we wanted to be taken into consideration to leave it with him. And I left it with him.
And what kind of tires did you purchase?
I believe they say Bridgestone on them.
And what's the name, make, and model of your car?
It's a 2005 Cadillac Escalade.
Can you get me any information about that, Sarah? Cost of cars, 2000 Escalade, what kind of tires it uses? Okay, so the harassment that you're talking about by your sister, because that's the other part of your claim. The vandalism is one, which Sarah is looking up now. The damages for harassment were the tires being slashed, is that right?
A part of it, yes.
Well, what's the other part?
Well, when I filed for the restraining order, the judge said it sounded like a family matter, so I didn't...
So the court dismissed it?
Yes. So on December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I woke up and my tires were popped again. So I then asked my dad, is it okay if I record you reaching out to my sister, asking her to leave me alone, so that if I do go to court again, I have some evidence? Because again, my dad didn't come to court back then. And he was like, I don't think I can do that because then she'll start messing with me and I can't afford to be down in the morning.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, well, at that point, I didn't feel safe there no more because she had already called Children's Services on me. And then every 2 weeks, my tires were being popped. I really couldn't afford it.
I got it. Do you recall how much you spent for each tire?
Each tire was $120.
So you spent a little over $700?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about right from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So, Ms. Gaines, let me tell you how I'm going to rule on her request for damages for her car. But I believe that some things it makes sense and some things don't. And if somebody has an MO of slashing tires as their reaction to having their car damaged, and if you acknowledge doing it and doing it one time, it is not a giant leap from my imagination that you caused the same damage to all 6 of her tires. I don't find that a giant leap. I think the whole thing is foolish, and I actually don't see the basis for coming out with a broomstick, except that you were angry and lashing out at her car. You could have stayed in your house and called the police. There was no reason for you to come out of the house at all, except to confront your sister. You had an application for a restraining order against your sister?
This is correct.
And you had a trial on that?
This is correct.
And you were granted a restraining order?
Yes.
For how long?
6 months.
And that expired?
It hasn't expired yet. This was an incident. It was caused by her coming to my house after court.
Okay.
And causing more damage.
Okay. So I think that she had the right to file for a restraining order against you because part of your action is filing false restraining order. Part of your case was for vandalism to your car, but that was already done in another court.
That was part of the first case. We've been going since October.
Okay. How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She stated, hop out. I said, okay, I guess
well,
we're hopping out.
that was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the... Okay, let's get to the assault part of your claim that I would like to hear. First, I watched the video, and I have to tell you, Miss Gaines, that in my judgment, what you took a big whiff of was a blunt. Is that what they call that?
That is.
Okay. And that's what was in the video, and that's while you were on your way over there and very, very angry and driving a car and lost in a sea of smoke. You understand? And I think that that's both foolish, bad judgment, dangerous to drive a car that way.
I agree, I'm sorry.
And shows an absolute lack of judgment. So I would think about that kind of behavior. Again, if I were you, want to tell me when and under what circumstances your sister assaulted you and where you were hospitalized or treated medically?
When I pulled up to the house, she had asked me to jump out of the vehicle. I was...
How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She was standing on the sidewalk. I was putting the car in park, and she stated, hop out. And I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out. Well,
that was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad. I have a...
Okay. Well, you talk to your dad later when things have calmed down and you're not high on weed.
I understand that you...
You got the damages for your car by way of a judgment. I've awarded you for the tires $726. $726 for the tires. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I only slashed her tires one time, one tire, like I stated.
It was fair.
There's no receipts that were presented, so they were never damaged.
We got it, we got the proof, so.
She stated that I ran her over by the car, but she was walking back into her house. How are you walking if your foot got ran over by a car?
It's embarrassing.
Jealousy, maybe I don't feel that way. This is my younger sister. I love my younger sister. I don't wish that this wasn't even going on.
I really hope we have a better relationship going forward. I hope this is all over and behind us.
Yeah, there's no more family for me, I guess.
You know, we're siblings. Siblings go through stuff.
So, my Sarah, the case to me, we've seen it before, siblings fighting, very unfortunate. So I'm going to ask you a question, because I know I come from separate generations, 3 down from you.
Okay.
And I've already accepted the fact that many states in this country have voted in favor of legislation which suggests that marijuana is a legal substance and decriminalizing it. Fine, just like alcohol. Yeah. That's what my grandchildren tell me. You drink alcohol, we do something else. But am I crazy? Because I watched that video, and to me that was the most interesting part of the video. And then she took this big cigar thing, which I found out what those were called back in my family court days, and it's interesting that I could recall it, called a blunt. Tell me what you think. Would it be no different if she took a big bottle of vodka from the passenger seat and took a couple of swigs before she got to a fight?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your take on that.
Yeah, even as a different generation, there's responsibilities and regulations and rules, the same with alcohol. So while it might be legalized, decriminalized in many states, you still have to follow the rules and act responsibly. I think there are different physiological effects.
Would you say that there was any jurisdiction in this country where you could smoke marijuana while you were driving?
I think it's still considered under the influence, which is just as bad as driving under the influence of alcohol. So I think it impairs your judgment all the same. And showing up to a fight high, I think, is equivalent to showing up drunk. And
even if you were going to a party.
Yeah, you're behind the wheel of tons of weight and something that could be used as a deadly weapon. So you got to be as sharp as you can.
Yeah, just from this interaction, you're absolutely right legally. But I'm not getting the outrage.
No,